Dumelang Sanbonani, and welcome to the Midday Express. Yes, this is the time. It's noon, right?
Yes.
12, right here on Galaxy Universal Network Channel 500 on Star Stage. Thank you so much for joining us for this stage where we give you the latest headlines. RORISANG, and of course, I'm never alone. Kinali, the also ever bubbly Mr. Harmony MBELE.
Thank you very much, RORISANG. Well, this is going to be one show to watch out for because we are trending on every social media platforms, and I don't know if you can check it now, yes. And you'll definitely see that we are engaging with everybody. The name is Harmony MBELE. Uphele kulunondanda udlambulula ngalokulunga ombitho because sompisi ondaba ezitha kanjalo nje ebukhosini ngithi bayede. Welcome right here on Galaxy Universal Network, where we give you Midday Express with the forever beautiful, gorgeous lady herself, RORISANG.
You know this.
I regard to.
But as we move on, just giving you the headlines for the day now. 92-year-old human rights advocate George Bezos dies.
And moving to the South Africa to move to level 1 very soon.
And KZN schools to receive 183 new vehicles.
And in our African news, where we have rising floods in Sudan.
But then starting off and kicking it off, you know, today we brought our feature a bit early, you know, just
yes.
to get people in the Thursday mood. We are joined on the line by RAJOO, who is the owner and founder of Discover Durban Travel and Tours, and we're just going to be talking about what they do
yes.
and, you know, in terms of how to kick-start back the tourism industry, because it's really been hit hard during this COVID-19 time.
Especially more now than it is Heritage Month, knowing yes. that we can always combine the two
yes.
and see the world, see Africa, see
yes.
South Africa too, while we are at that. But who are we joined by?
We're joined by Mr. RAJOO, who's going to tell us all about that.
Absolutely.
Good day, sir, and thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Hi, good morning, guys. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Thank you very much. Mr. RAJOO, please do tell us about yourself and the company. What is it that you do?
So, Discover Durban Travel and Tours, we are a tour operator that's based in Durban. We provide packaged holidays around the province. We also own a fleet of vehicles that we use to provide shuttle transfers, so road transfers around the province, as well as day tour excursions. Being in the travel space, we also act as booking agents for MSC cruises, as well as any accommodation, car hire, and air ticket bookings for people traveling to our magical province.
Amazing. And how long ago did the company start?
It's quite an interesting story. We've been in business for the last 12 years. I was employed prior to that by a multinational travel company, and unfortunately I was retrenched during one of the global recessions, and tourism was all I knew, so I decided to start up a business in the middle of a recession, and 12 years later, here we are. So the COVID-19 pandemic is pretty much like deja vu for me right now.
On that note, speaking about COVID-19, how has COVID-19 affected the business and the way of which you guys operate within the company?
So it's been very tough for a lot of colleagues and ourselves in the travel industry. Rightfully so, the lockdown was implemented late in March, and unfortunately, travel was one of the worst hit sectors of the economy. So we have a 50-50 split between international travelers traveling into the country, as well as domestic leisure and corporate travelers. And since the lockdown, the business that we normally generate from incoming foreign tourists has been virtually at a standstill. So it's been non-existent, with domestic travel being suspended as well, and corporates also not traveling. I could say that our turnover and our business has been virtually zero since March, and we're just starting to quote again for work. So hopefully that situation changes. So it's been a tough couple of months with virtually zero income and turnover.
Now, I just want us to talk about, we know that there's a lot of tourism companies out there. What sets you apart, and how do you plan on breaking into the market?
So we've always prided ourselves on being an owner-managed company with very personalized service. I think we were one of the first companies in our region to pioneer free Wi-Fi on board all our vehicles. So we provide a very personalized service, and we hope that it's that personal attention that sets us apart from many other companies that might be in existence. Going forward, I think it's that personal attention and attention to detail on especially safety that's going to set us apart and help us to break into the market. We're also very cognizant of the fact that our target market, leisure travel, people taking leisure tours, that target market's also been affected by the pandemic financially. So people are going to have a little bit less disposable income to spend on holidays and ultimately spend money booking packages with us. So we've taken that into consideration, and I think breaking back into the market, one of the things that we really need to do is look at pricing. As a company, we've taken a firm decision to hold our current prices up until 31 December 2021. So hopefully that helps a bit, and negotiation with other role players in the industry, we can offer packages that will be attractive and affordable to a sector of the economy that's also struggling financially.
Oh, I hear you very well, and I think mentioning that we have a lot of consumers, a lot of people that are going to want to travel. Do you have any strategic plans to make sure that traveling becomes more accessible to the consumer, to the clients on the ground?
Yeah, strategically, I touched a little bit on pricing. So we are obviously we have created a number of packages which are currently on our Facebook page and on our website. These packages have been, we've done tough negotiations to get the prices that we are offering. And the other aspect of the business going forward is going to look quite critically at safety. We need to change the way we've done things. I think post-COVID-19, the world's never going to be the same. And so we have to adapt to that as well. So we've invested a lot of funds into training staff about the pandemic. We've invested a lot of money into setting up infrastructure, like purchasing fogging machines to clean our vehicles on a daily basis, having disinfectant solutions used when we clean the interior of the vehicles, having staff screened regularly, temperature monitors for staff and guests. So those are things that will need to come into effect as we move forward. And hopefully those safety measures that we put in place will give clients the confidence to travel with us in the future.
Now, I just wanted to touch on the hidden gems that maybe KZN has and people never really pay attention to. Can you just name a few places that people can actually check out?
Absolutely. One of my most favorite places to travel to is the Midlands Meander, which is just about an hour outside of Durban. It's such an untapped route. It's littered with quaint restaurants, craft stalls, so you can purchase some unique artifacts there. But one of the highlights along the Midlands Meander route is making a stop at the Nelson Mandela capture site. That's kind of like the Statue of Liberty for KwaZulu-Natal. And if you're ever on the Midlands Meander and you don't stop at the Nelson Mandela capture site, then you've missed out on something. Apart from the wonderful history of the great man himself, there's a fantastic sculpture, and if you haven't seen it, it's worthwhile making the trip out there just to see the sculpture.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Quite a few places that I think I myself have to look into if ever I get the opportunity to travel and see the world once more again. But the greatest question is, how can young people, or are there young people that are involved in tourism, in the history of it, and within the business mechanisms of making sure that young people can enter in the sector and find employment and actually have a career sustained in tourism?
Absolutely. I think one of the key areas is tourism for young people, and I think one of the big attractions that I've seen for foreign tourists coming into our country is that they want to tap into the culture and the history. They want to meet real people. They want to have real experiences, and who better than the young people who have lived through the last 20 years or 21 years of democracy in South Africa to share the changing culture and the changing vibe that we have in South Africa now, as opposed to probably in the 80s or early 90s. Who better than young people to share those real stories? And I always encourage young people to start, even if you start as a driver in the travel industry, you get to interact with clients and then work your way up into tour guiding. I think some of the young people make the best tour guides that share real information with our tourists.
Interesting. Now, I just want us to now talk about some of the challenges that you personally faced as a business with regards to tourism. Like you also mentioned in terms of pricing, sometimes it's not really accessible to the lower markets. So what are some of the challenges that you faced?
Pricing is always a difficult thing. When you operate vehicles, the price of fuel is completely out of our hands. Yes. So a lot of our cost is dictated by the fluctuation in the price of fuel. It's very difficult, and it's a huge challenge to change your prices mid-season as the fuel prices change on a monthly basis. And if you look at probably 2019, there was quite a dramatic increase from the fuel price in January to what we ended up paying in November 2019. So as a company, we have to make a decision whether are you going to start fluctuating prices in the middle of a season? It's impossible to do that because your target market's not going to accept a sudden 7% price increase because fuel's increased. So we've accepted that we need to price strategically yet affordably, and if the price of fuel goes up, unfortunately we have to bear the brunt of it. We have to cut our losses and accept it. So we hold our rates from January up until December. So pricing is a challenge. There's also quite a few factors that can be outside of our control when you're dealing with foreign tourists coming into the country. Pandemics like the current situation, political upheaval. I mean, when we had a scourge of xenophobic attacks around the country a few years ago, it impacted on our business. It was completely out of our hands. But foreigners suddenly had this perception that South Africa is in the middle of a civil war, and they just wouldn't travel. Yes. So it's a challenging industry with a number of factors outside of our outside of our control that can have a detrimental effect on business.
Okay, I hear it. It's actually I'm thinking about the traveling expenses for inbound and outbound tourists, more especially when traveling from outside the country and the ones traveling within the country. Who at this time, looking at COVID-19, do you think our inbound travelers are going to be able to spend the money on traveling and seeing the world? Are we going to have more outbound tours coming to have a look in our South African tourist places?
I'm hopeful that people take the opportunity right now to travel locally.
Yes.
Of course, if and when our borders open, people might be tempted to break the shackles of lockdown and want to go and visit foreign destinations. But there's a lot of untapped places in South Africa that locals should experience. I was lucky, having worked for a large travel company, that I had the opportunity to see a number of places around the country and appreciate it. I mean, if you haven't seen the Shlishlui Game Reserve, or you haven't been to the Kruger Park, or you haven't seen the Kango Caves, you're really missing out. So take advantage of the local opportunities and explore our own country.
I just want to know, just a quick last question. Why is it that we as South Africans never really go locally and always want to see international places? Is it because maybe our tourism sector is not marketed properly?
I wouldn't say it's not marketed properly. You know, I have a lot of interaction with the local tourism authorities,
yes.
and they do spend a lot of effort and resources on advertising local tourist attractions. But I think a lot of it has to do with human nature as well. You know, the allure of wanting to travel to the US or seeing the pyramids in Egypt or diving the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. There's always those type of attractions. But I think if I could just be a little bit critical, I think local travel companies also need to be cognizant of pricing.
Yeah.
You cannot price it. You know, if the price for a 5-day trip to Cape Town from Durban is a few thousand rands cheaper than traveling to Thailand, guess where a local from Durban is going to travel to? He's going to travel to Thailand because that's a stamp on his passport, and it's a more exciting destination that you're traveling out of the country. So I think in the travel industry, we need to be critical and take cognizant of how we price ourselves so that we don't outprice the local market, because the local market's always going to be there. You know, so that's just one point that I could be a little bit critical about.
Oh, wow. Interesting conversation that we are having with you. I think we are about to get to the last question that we have for you is, what is the greatest marketing strategy, more especially at this time, for tourism?
I think right now, wanting to kickstart the industry, one of the biggest marketing tools is going to be price. And I think you need to be an attractive destination as well. You need to be able to offer personal attention with good safety measures. I think people are going to start looking for acceptable and above standard safety protocols that are in place, because they want to know that they are safe traveling to a destination. The South African tourism has been quite vocal in assisting us to establish protocols that we need to put in place. There's documents that have been sent out on a regular basis briefing us on what safety protocols we should have, and we've taken lead from those directives that we've been receiving from our tourism authorities, and I put my neck on the block and say South Africa and the local travel companies are ready to welcome the world. And I think safety is going to be key to marketing ourselves as a safe destination.
All right, amazing. And now, just in closing, where can people get a hold of your amazing packages?
So you can hop onto our website. Our contact details and our specials on there. It's www.discoverworldtravel.co.za, and we're quite active on Facebook. Discover Durban on Facebook, Instagram, and at _Discover Durban on Twitter. All our specials and communications loaded on those platforms. Contact details on the website as well.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Leon RAJOO, for joining us right here on Midday Express.
Thank you so much for your time and for having me.
Thank you very much once again. Well, that was a beautiful one where we are talking about all things travel, all things tourism, all things heritage, and what does it really mean.
And I really hope this takes now a time where people can actually now travel locally and discover what we have in our beautiful country. Like I said, you have more pricing that's more attractive to people. So I think we should also take it up on ourselves once the
COVID is out and about.
Just go and discover our beautiful country.
Absolutely.
And now moving on with the stories of the day. Now, first story now, 92-year-old human rights advocate George Bizos has passed away on Wednesday afternoon, and he passed away a peaceful natural death at home. Now, the Saheti School, which is founded by Bizos, released a statement to send their condolences to the Bizos family. Now, in the statement, the school states that the school is privileged to have benefited from the life of a man who gave his time and energy contributing contributing to the shaping of the school. Now, and that they are truly honored to have had the privilege of knowing Advocate George Bizos and sharing part of his life with him. Now, the President Cyril Ramaphosa also sent the Bizos family condolences and said that Bizos was one of the lawyers that contributed immensely to the attainment of our democracy and was also an architect of the country's constitution. Let's just have a look there of the President speaking on the matter.
I've just received news that legal eagle of our country, George Bizos, has passed away. This is a very sad moment for our country. I spoke to George Bizos about 2 months ago, and even as I spoke to him, it did appear like his health was not in good shape. This afternoon, I spoke to Alexei, his son, and he told me that his father was facing great difficulties, and I asked him whether he was comfortable, and he said yes, he was comfortable. So the news about George Bizos passing is sad news for us as South Africans. George Bizos is one of those lawyers who contributed immensely to the attainment of our democracy. He worked very closely with Nelson Mandela, Arthur Chaskelson, and many others. And as the government, we extend our condolences to his family. We also extend condolences to the rest of all of us as South Africans, because George Bizos' name was a family name, well-known name, and he had an incisive legal mind and was also one of the architects of our Constitution, who contributed immensely. And he will sorely be missed, and we dip our heads in honor of the contribution that George Bizos has made to our democracy. We will forever remember his contribution.
But 92 years, how many?
It's a beautiful one.
It's a really beautiful one to have lived.
Life. When we can speak about someone that lived it fully, exactly. I love how you're saying it, with purpose. That he stood for what he stood in, he stood for what he believed in, and he made sure that there was democracy for South Africa, for the leaders that went to exile, came back, represented them at the Rivonia trial, and he was there, present in every leader's life that we look at today and say they are monumental leaders. So that too, he was part of that. Part of that revolution that South Africa was a part of. Yes,
I guess we just send our deepest condolences to the family and friends, because we have lost a great loss to the country.
We really have.
Yeah.
By taking a look at your following news headline, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize has given a reassuring account of the country's fight against COVID-19 on Wednesday, saying that that because of the various measures that have been followed, the country is over the COVID-19 scourge, and the country could move to level 1 of the lockdown in a matter of days. Mkhize said that South Africans will need to move to level 1 lockdown and return to normal activities as part of its economic recovery rate. The minister also thanked South Africans for taking a heed up of the precautionary measures that they think they have made a contribution to how we get to live as South Africans, wearing the masks, having sanitizers, and keeping the social distancing, and quite a lot in contacting the infection. It also comes with social distancing. In a media session, President Cyril Ramaphosa said, in regards to the country moving to level 1, they've received numerous proposals from different fields that include sports, tourism, entertainers, and religious groups, request an increased number of people in the events. So let's take a look at what the President had to say.
Yes, Mr. President, you mentioned that you are going to address the country next week. Is there a move to level 1 on the cards? Is it something that the Command Council is discussing in light of the GDP figures that were announced?
We, as the National Coronavirus Command Council, we are having to evaluate a number of proposals that have been put to us by a number of sectors of society. Religious leaders have come to us and have asked that we should
consider extending the number of people who should be in worship. It should no longer be based on 50 people only in a room. It should be based on 50% of the room. The sports people have also come. The entertainers have also come. The hoteliers and tourism people. So we are considering all that as we do an evaluation of where the infection rate is. So we will be able to give consideration to all these proposals and get advice. This is where we will need advice from the medical advisory committee, as well as from our net joints, which is the real engine of monitoring our coronavirus approach. So we will be giving consideration to all that, and watch this space next week where we end up as
the MEC for Education in KZN, Gwazim Sheng, has unveiled 183 new state vehicles to enhance service delivery to 12 districts, and making sure that the KZN, in which is supported more than 6,000 predominantly rural schools in KZN. The MEC mentioned that they have realized that officials are unable to provide content support and monitoring in the schools because of the officials are unable to get there in time, because of that there is destructions and distribution of cars that they'll be able to have an alternative plan. So have a look at what the MEC of KZN had to say.
Trade in a form of the vehicles. We have done so over Sifuna to ease umsebenzi wama officials with district and circuit levels which are service equality. One of the complaints that we normally get is that we are not continuously and consistently monitoring umsebenzi equality and giving support, not only just monitoring, but giving support to our schools, because our officials are unable to travel to those schools. And as a result of that, we also get to know of things through media, things that we should be able to detect from the work of our officials who are expected to visit and support schools frequently. We are hoping that as we give out these tools of trade, we are going to deal with that problem in particular also, of getting things through the media. And when you ask colleagues,
the department has procured about 183 cars which will be distributed to all the districts across the province. And the aim really is to provide the tools of trade for our district officials that they were going to use in support of our schools and doing the constant monitoring. One of the things that we have realized is that we are unable to provide constant support and monitoring in our schools because our officials are unable to get there in time. So with these 183 cars being distributed across the district, we think and believe that we are going to alleviate that problem of failure to give enough and sufficient support to schools. Amongst the beneficiaries, or rather the people who will be using these cars, are subject advisors who are very key in terms of curriculum delivery and management. But we also want to underscore the point that these cars should not be abused as it has become a norm that government cars are being abused. They are used for things that are not work related. We have directed the IT system of the department to ensure that they come up with a system that will be able to track the cars, their usage, so that we curb the problem of abuse.
I guess it's a beautiful one to actually see that the Department of Education is actually giving, like it was with the previous stories, they donated buses now to the disabled children, and then now to have this now as well. So it actually just goes to show that they're really investing in the schools
education,
now.
more especially in education. I feel that it's going to make sure that learners, even if it's raining, even if it's cold, they can get to school, making sure that, and I know they're mentioning even officials making sure that they can get to school school because it's in rural areas. You know, these modern cars can't really travel on gravel road, but like a long distance. So if they're bringing buses, therefore they can get there on time, make sure that whatever investigations, whatever paperwork that needs to be dropped off at school, that entire process can happen. So it's a beautiful one. Beautiful one indeed. Now, as we move on with the next story now, Black First, Land First says that in order to end racism, 51% of cliques must be black owned. Now, the party says that it is aware that Julius Malema is on the verge of pickpocketing cliques and that a meeting like of the Convention for the Democratic South Africa, CODESA, will be held with cliques. Now, they further mentioned that the tea and biscuit meeting follows the same pattern of meetings like those held with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange executives after the 50,000 people march in October 2015. Now, they stated that after the meeting with the JSE, the demands of the march are forgotten, and the same would happen now with the Patrice Motsepe, who was threatened with exposing his role in the Independence Power Producers situation. Now, BLF says that they are in support with genuine struggles against any acts of racism, but however, they are critical of the opportunistic use of struggles against racism for the benefit of these corrupt politicians. Now, they say that cliques is bullied into meetings to cut deals, but not to end racism. And the only way to end the racism of cliques is to demand 51% black ownership of the business, with workers and the unemployed youth being beneficiaries and not any politician. Now, they further said that BLF therefore calls on cliques to show authentic remorse by giving real black ownership of 51% to its black workers and the unemployed youth. Now, they further then concluded by saying that racism will not be brought to an end by platitudes and meetings and no more CODESA-like sell-out solutions. Only real black empowerment will end racism. That's what BLF is saying, and we know that... mouthful. Yes, yes, and we know our Andile now will actually be joining the Pan-African team tomorrow to actually speak more on the matter. So I also can't wait to hear what he has to say about the matter. What is happening? Are we really pickpocketing cliques? Is it really is it what's happening? And why the 51% on that it should be owned by black people? So these are the answers that we have to hear tomorrow when they do engage on that matter. Yes, but let's just go for a quick break right on the Midday Express. Stay tuned as we will give you more stories.
Hello. Being a legal practitioner in South Africa in these challenging times demands lawyers that will help clients beyond legal issues. The ever-changing demands in commerce and tourism require lawyers who have sound and clear business and commercial knowledge, and that's where MBELE Incorporated comes in. Our business, mining, tourism, health, labor, and economic knowledge encapsulated with law and litigation experience gives us an advantage in the legal sphere. Our experience in assisting businesses, government, and various industries with their needs puts us amongst the many progressive and striving law firms in South Africa. Now, to contact our attorneys for assistance with any of the mentioned fields and others, please call us on 012-341-4187 or send us an email on admin@chabangu.co.za. MBELE Incorporated, where problems meet solutions.
China saying that the latest outbreak is under control. Feel the heat.
The cabinet has decided to ease restrictions on certain other economic activities.
I don't want to be a white person who sits by and does nothing, so that's why I'm here today.
Feel the excitement.
We are here to unite, because what we are fighting for is to stop institutional racism.
Feel the heat with StarSat.
And welcome back from the ad break, and you're still watching a Midday Express right here on Galaxy Universal Network, where we bring you all the leading headlines and news bulletin this hour. And moving right along in our African stories. Sudan has declared a nationwide 3-month state of emergency as a massive floods are expected to continue, and the officials said so on Saturday. The declaration comes after the nation's death toll rose from 99. Lina Al-Sheikh, the Labor and Social Care Minister, said after an emergency meeting of the Defense and Security Council was held. She furthermore said that around 500,000 people have been affected by the floods, while more than 100,000 homes and houses are fully or partly destroyed. The floods are the highest in the country since 1946, and they may continue as the rain has not stopped in various areas, she said. And let's take a look at what is really happening in Sudan.
دوم شرق النيل شرق مدينة الجريف شرق
اها جات خلاص هاي ما جبنا حاضرها ودارها عيني له خلاص انا
جاتكم الموت
نزل الله السلامة لا إله إلا الله
I said want to see there indeed, but I really hope something will happen soon so that
especially in these times, losing property, losing homes, the flood is something that I have never seen. It's like it feels like they're in an ocean, and the homes were built on top of an ocean. So it's hard visuals that what we've just seen in Sudan.
Yeah. Hopefully that everybody will gone to safety, and hopefully they can rebuild their houses soon.
Soon enough.
Now moving into our international stories. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for 2021 by a Norwegian lawmaker for helping broker a deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. Now, this is the second time the president has been put up forward for the honor. Last year, Trump said that he deserved to be awarded the Peace Prize for his work on both North Korea and Syria, but he complained he probably would never get the honor, as we know that the former President Barack Obama of Trump won the prize back in 2009. But let's just have a look now on his nomination there.
Today, President Trump was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of his work in brokering an Israel-United Arab Emirates peace deal. It was a historic deal and the first such deal in over 2 decades. This is a hard-earned and well-deserved honor for this president. President Trump's foreign policy will always be one of peace through strength, and that is what the American people are seeing abroad. Career politicians merely talk about the kind of results this president has achieved on the world stage.
And taking a look at our sports and entertainment news. This year's PSL run-up Kaizer Chiefs Football Club said in a shocking announcement on Wednesday that following reviews conducted by its chairman Kaizer Mtaung and the club's management, Amakhosi have decided to part ways with coach Ernest Midiantrop with immediate effect. Confirming the news, Mtaung said it was upon deliberation and considerations of various aspects related to the team, including their way of playing, performance and the results before the upcoming decision. And Mtaung in addition also said that they are truly disbelieved and hoped that the 50th anniversary would have been better, as it was indeed looking promising, and that the decision to sack the German tactician was taken as a strategy to have the Amakhosi, who failed to break their 5-year trophy drought despite leading the game 7 wins trophy again, to make the supporters happy because they deserve better. So it's a hard one, knowing that they've dropped their coach. Kaizer Chiefs really has done a big one.
I mean, I always say, me and sports, I really don't. I am not in the sports
Imagine
world.
5 years with no win.
But
5 to 7 years, no win. You have this one coach, players. Kaizer Chiefs is like one of the biggest clubs in South Africa. Yeah. You know. It's like a big one, being leading in the table log for 7 games, and you still get to lose.
But they lost.
RORISANG.
And I know, Gutsi, you know, unfortunately the Kaizer Chiefs fan, they were very hit hard with this one. It's very
Sundowns
sad.
came through and took that one under their nose.
It's actually sad. It's actually sad.
It really took that one under their nose.
And then just moving on into another, with just our sports, just to touch on this one, we'll probably get into it more tomorrow, Harmony. Now, the Ministry of Sports, Arts and Culture has sent out a media statement with regards to Caster Semenya's loss of appeal at the Swiss Supreme Court. Remember, we actually touched on the story yesterday. And now they have stated that the recent decision of the Swiss Federal Court to uphold the decision of the Court of the Arbitration for Sports regarding the IAAF regulations in female athletes with differences of sexual development is very unfortunate and offensive to the fundamental human rights of female athletes. So we actually get to see now the department speaking out on this matter, and they're actually calling upon everybody to stand in solidarity with Caster Semenya to actually fight against such things. It's quite sad to be...
It's quite sad.
Yeah,
it's really a big one, knowing that we South Africans have understood where she's come from. Caster Semenya used to run to get to school. So what she's achieving now, what she's been attaining, the #1, always running #1, is something that was not just done overnight. It's something that she's worked hard her entire life. There was a story where she was crying and it broke out, where she said, I used to run to school kilometers to get there, and I have to go down mountains to get to school. Knowing that today she's running and she's making money from it, but it's not just for herself, it's for the country, representing us, and they're saying that she can't do it because of a high test of testosterone within her body. That does not make sense.
It is quite sad indeed, and we understand that a lot of people have actually, you know, been in solidarity, standing and saying, you know, fighting for her rights. So to actually see that she lost her appeal, it's actually quite sad. But I think hopefully we can get more developments on the story and actually get the department to actually speak on the matter, just to hear what measures are they going to put in place to actually fight such decisions that have been made.
Absolutely, knowing that South Africa too is behind Caster Semenya. Even tweets are actually out there in solidarity, standing with our famous Caster Semenya. You know, so we really have to do a big one. But I guess tomorrow we're going to have another AM Jacked show where we give them headlines, everything that has to do with amazing news, all the headlines.
Yes. Stay tuned right here, as we are going to be heading over to Galaxy Social Trains after this. Stay tuned, and we, from us right here on the Midday Express, we shall see you again, same time, same place. Goodbye.